Anybody else?
Here. We're delighted to see your support. We're delighted for our special guest. And I'd like to introduce the next governor of the state of Missouri, Sarah Steelman.
Thank you all so much for coming tonight, and I'm so excited that you're here because we have such a special guest, and I'm very grateful to him for coming into St. Louis for me. And you know, he doesn't, well, he knows this now because my husband told him, but he didn't know it before. Back in 1991, actually, when my husband's sister, my sister-in-law, was talking to Ed Rollins about consultants and who to get for a consultant for David's race for Attorney General. And she talked to Ed Rollins. And we all know Ed Rollins now, who was a partner with her at that time. And he said, you know, most consultants are all alike, but there's one that's different. There's one that's a genius. And guess who that is? Yeah. Dick Morris. He has definitely proved his genius over those many years with Clinton. And he we've forgiven him for that, but he tried to get him to the center, didn't he? And he did orchestrate many of his comebacks, and since then, I know you all have followed him on Fox News, and I like to call him that colorful commentator. And he got interested in the tariff-free issues that we started here in Missouri. He was actually interested and knew all about them long before I ever did anything about them, and I'm very grateful for his help. He is a true patriot in that sense because he has helped fight the war.
Actually, I have 2 claims to fame. Number 1, I never met her, and number 2, I didn't know she was gorgeous. You know, I'm used to Hillary. But I did know of Sarah because I've been very, very involved in the efforts to fight terrorism. I'm a New Yorker, I'm Jewish, and I can feel the target bullseye painted on my chest. And I see those missing World Trade Center towers like molars in the back of my mouth, and your tongue keeps worrying it and thinking about it. I got involved with Frank Gaffney, who was Ronald Reagan. Frank really had this incredible idea, which was to divest from terror, to make companies cut off their economic dealings with the terrorist states, Iran, Syria, Sudan. Gaffney got together with Sarah and said, hey, look, the pension funds in the United States have $188 billion combined invested in these 485 companies. And if we put the squeeze on them, we disinvest that, it's going to send their share prices crashing, it's going to affect their bonuses, it's going to affect their whole ability to operate as capital countries. And Steelman come along and say, we'll do the same thing. But we're not going to do it by a law, we're going to do it by investing our own money someplace else. The brilliance of that idea is incredible. And that set off a national trend. Schwarzenegger did the same thing in California. God bless him, Spitzer did the same thing in New York. He wasn't as wise in his other investments. Chris did the same thing in Florida. New Jersey did it. Louisiana did it. A whole bunch of states. And now there's a huge chunk of pension money that these companies can't get at. And they're pulling back their investments. And Iran is in terrible economic condition because of it. And in these countries, economic instability causes political instability. Elections in Iran are like student government elections. They vote, but the principal runs the school. The Ayatollah does what he wants, but they have the illusion of democracy. When Sarah told me that she was thinking of running for governor, I said, wow, this is a candidate I really can support. This is tremendous imagination. And then I looked at the rest of her program, where the federal government doesn't do enough to provide scholarships for kids. So she takes this program in Missouri where they invest your savings for you and they find ways where you can then pay for your college tuition for your children. I think you call it the MOST program. And she rearranged the investments so that their yield would be greater, so that it really could be a promise of a free scholarship. And then she took Missouri's other money, it's pension money, because states get to borrow money with tax-exempt bonds, so the interest rate's lower. And she said, I'm going to lend money to businesses to create jobs with this money. They don't have to pay market interest rates, particularly small businesses, 2 or 3 points above prime. They could actually get the tax-exempt lending rate that I can get as the treasurer of Missouri. And what impressed me about all of this is that it's kind of the new federalism, in a way. The old concept of federalism was the federal government would act and the states would resist action. Remember, everybody would say states' rights, and what that always meant was do nothing. Sarah has a very, very good chance, I would say a unique chance as a Republican, to win this election. So if you put up Ken, what's his name? Holzhoff. If you put up Ken Holzhoff against Nixon, the results are going to be obvious. Nixon's going to win. Attorney generals usually win races like this because it's a job that gives them tremendous visibility. He's won statewide before, twice, and major, or more times, in races for this major position. And Ken has all of the baggage of Washington attached to him. Voters see the state and federal governments as very different, and the state and federal Republican parties, in a sense, as very different. She really brings to the job an incredibly new perspective, an incredibly fresh set of ideas, an incredibly new way of doing things. And I think that she has a potential in this campaign to run as a unique outsider candidate. There are a host of ideas that I think she has that are tremendously compelling, tremendously exciting, and really give her the capacity to project a candidacy that is just outside of the box, that isn't your sort of standard fill out the questionnaire Republican candidacy, that I think will not do well this year, but I think that she can do extraordinarily well this year. So, and I think that she's going to win the primary. She has a tremendous advantage in that she has won. Because it really permits her to get known by the voters early on in an important way and to use the spring. By the time we get to September and October, the presidential race will overshadow everything. Voters don't pay a whole lot of attention in July to politics. Thank God they still have a little sanity left. And Sarah has a real opportunity to get in there in the spring and win this election before it starts. I think she's got a tremendous capacity to do that.